Call to order. Roll call.
Mr. Brophy.
Here.
Ms. Nyman.
Here.
Ms. Deroff.
Present.
Mrs. Scott.
Here.
Ms. Hogan.
Present.
Mr. Zawada. Mr. Hemingway.
Here.
Mr. Updegrove.
Here.
Mr. Pinarello.
Here.
All present.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Moment of silence.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board had a executive session Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. The topic was personnel. The meeting lasted approximately 60 minutes. And we had another one tonight, September 26th, 2023. The topic was informational. The meeting lasted 30 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Allison Moyer, the Communications Specialist for the district, and I am happy to be here tonight for our first recognition spotlight of the year. Before I kick that off, just two quick reminders. Friday, September 29th, this coming Friday, is our district-wide Gold Out, so we're inviting students and staff to all wear gold in support of a childhood cancer awareness. And then the football game will be hosted by Student Council that night. It's a home football game at 7 o'clock. And that event is also a Gold Out in support of childhood cancer awareness. The other thing, so that everyone knows, is we are hosting, I believe, Mr. Langdon's 16 bands, 16 other high school bands, a university band, and our middle school bands for a total of 19 different performing groups on Saturday the 30th for our cavalcade. National anthem is at 4:10, and the middle school band performs starting at 4:15. So you're all welcome to attend. So everybody knows my favorite part of board meetings, recognition spotlight, right? And once again, I got to kick off the year with some really amazing students, two of which are here with me tonight. So Sam Hemingway may look familiar to some of you more than others, Mr. Hemingway, and Lexi Groman. So they're joining us tonight. So if you guys want to come on up, we're going to talk to you a little bit about a life skills conference they attended this summer in Elizabethtown. So students from the district, from both middle schools and the high school, were invited to participate in a life skills conference. Mr. Stout, thanks. The goal was for students to learn to lead a successful life through adventure-based team experiences while discovering the power of respect, responsibility, and relationships. Over the course of the week, the students will, or did, broaden their outlook through various adventure activities, things like dancing and music and creative writing and the visual arts that got them outside of their comfort zones. And through those activities, they expanded their skills in trust, self-confidence, and teamwork. And finally, the week culminated with an activity that we'll share with you a little later on in the presentation that allowed them to apply the lessons they had learned throughout the week. So the experience for them, for 4 of our students, again, Lexi from 8th grade at Middle School West, Samantha from the high school, Sammy, Cole Major also from the high school, and Chloe Engler, a 10th grader. They spent 5 days at camp in Elizabethtown, stayed night and day, spent all of the time together. Through the experience, their parents transported them out there, brought them back home. And they experienced camp with students from other school districts. Chloe Engler, I reached out to the 4 kiddos, and I heard back from 3 of the 4. The girls have assured me that that's not unusual, that I didn't hear from Cole. But Chloe Angler was supposed to join us tonight. And last week, when I was reaching out to everyone to get things scheduled for tonight, I sent emails to everyone and got a message back from Chloe. I can't meet with you this week. I'm in the hospital and I won't be back to school. She was the first one to respond to me from her hospital bed. So I sent her a message back and said, well wishes, anything you need from the district, anything you'd like to share. And within about 3 minutes, I got a second response. So Chloe wanted everyone to know about how much fun it was and how much they learned, how many new people she met, and a theme across all three of the girls tonight was that they all made new friends. And for Chloe, she wished that more people knew about the conference and had the chance to go. So thank you to Chloe for making the effort, and we hope you're feeling better and are back to school. And Sammy and I met first. So Sam impressed me with the way she talked about how she was taught. It jumped out at her how the camp counselors, for lack of a better way of saying it, she loved the way the teachers taught. And she told a story, and I'm going to kick it off a little bit like this and then turn it over to Sam to talk about a foam ball, a purple rubber chicken, and a baby toy walked into a room full of campers. So tell us.
Hello. So one of the very first activities we did was we were assigned our groups, and then we all sat in a circle and first of all introduced our names. And then we were given 3 objects. One would be pretty easy to pass around in the circle, the second moderate, and the third pretty hard. So the first one was the rubber ball. Obviously we did pretty well with that. And then the second one would be the baby toy, which we dropped it a few times, but eventually we got the idea. And then once we added the purple chicken, we were all doing it at the same time. Once we added the purple squeaky chicken, then we dropped it definitely more times, but after we were doing it for, I don't know, maybe half an hour or something like that. Obviously there was breaks in between. So we were doing that for maybe that amount of time. And then we started to get the hang of it. We were just laughing a bunch every time we messed up. And it was just a really big fun experience. And then later, all the schools came together in a boardroom. And then the speakers explained what the object of the game was and what the idea of it was. And the idea was it was a team building experience to learn everybody's names and just to overcome challenges, whatever challenges were given to us. Thank you.
Thanks. Again, the theme of I made friends that I know I can talk to and trust will be a recurring theme as we talk to the girls tonight. Lexi, again, kicked hers off with I built amazing friendships with people I never would have met otherwise. The speakers and administrators were super kind and funny, also a recurring theme across our discussions. And the fun activities they participated in. So Lexi's going to tell us about 2 of those. Let's start with the rocket and the egg.
So we've all heard of the typical like egg launch, see if it breaks kind of thing. Well, the whole goal of this was so that we could work together as a team and like find leaders within our group of leaders who just shown or stuck out as like really strong, independent people who could work with the group very well. What we did was we were given a like basket of supplies and told, hey, you get 10 minutes, make what you think will work. When it's, I think we used vinegar and baking soda to send the rockets up, and then the goal was to just keep the egg from breaking. Our egg did break, sadly. We thought it was going to be really safe, but it broke, which was okay with us because in the end we learned it wasn't so much about how the egg landed or if it broke or not, but like the value of trusting each other. And we were trusting each other's ideas and making new friends along the way. So it was less about the outcome of our situation and more about the build up to the outcome.
So there was a second activity that you told me about using ratchet straps and walking between trees. Okay.
So for this activity, what we did was there were these two trees, approximately 20 feet apart from each other, and we had one ratchet strap attached to one tree, and then across that open 20-foot space, we had it attached to the other tree. And we had one person go up and stand on the ratchet strap, and the whole goal was to get from one side to the other. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to be able to trust each other. The main thing with this was trying to trust each other. So the remainder of our group who were not on the ratchet strap were standing on the base of the ratchet strap, like this, to keep the person standing on the strap from falling. And if they did fall, they knew that they could trust the people on the ground to catch them and keep them from hitting the ground. Obviously, we had safety precautions like helmets and whatnot. And obviously, there was a little rope at the top. But as we went along, there were strings hanging down from the top ratchet strap that you had to get around. And that was where a lot of our challenges occurred because the strings would get further and further apart. And honestly, all of us made it across without falling. But the whole purpose of that was to teach us that even if we did fall, you didn't have to worry because you had a good support system who wouldn't let you drop. And you could trust them.
Thanks. So I'm going to turn it over to the two girls. We have lots of great pictures. So I'm going to let you guys take the podium. Tell us about the people in your group.
Okay, so do you want me to start or do you want to start?
I can start.
Okay, go ahead.
So in the beginning, as I said before, we were assigned to collaborate with another high school. And in this example, we were partnered with Daniel Boone. The majority of these people were from Daniel Boone, and I'm towards the left, Alexi is in the middle, and then Cole Major is all the way to the right. So this was just our lunch table. And this is where a lot of fun conversations started, a lot of laughter, and a lot of serious conversations as well. Thank you.
So for this next slide, this is where we get into a lot of the fun activities that we did. In the bottom left is where we did the ropes course at the very end. We'll get into more detail about that later, but that was just our group picture right before we went up into the ropes. In the middle, you'll see our socks, which we have on right now. I want you to help me explain this one. Okay. So the whole purpose of these socks was pretty much to spread kindness and get people to talk to one another, to communicate. Because, you know, these are pretty flashy. They're bright pink with puzzle pieces and mustaches. I mean, so they were supposed to be a conversation starter with people you never would have talked to. So when we would go, like, up to the ropes course, the instructors didn't know we were supposed to be wearing the socks. And they would ask us, what's the whole deal with the socks? Because a lot of us were wearing them. Obviously, in those pictures, there's only me and Sam wearing them. But in the group as a whole, I think there were around 50% of us wearing the socks. So it made us talk to one another and just start conversations and build new friendships, which I thought was a really cool idea and a good way to start it. So I really enjoyed that. You want to say anything about
And
that?
also to add on to the socks picture, the speakers explained that these socks basically are a symbol of empathy, and by saying that, it basically means that everyone's experiences are different. Don't be judgy, basically, and everyone's experiences are really help to build who they are and who they will become to be. And then all the way to the right is our team banner. So each group was tasked with making a banner that symbolizes what we did during that week, as well as putting part of our personalities onto the banner. So our idea is like a melting pot of everyone's personalities in the group. So we all chose a symbol that is close to our hearts. I did a sunflower because it represents happiness, and we also put our favorite quote, and also we drew the outline of our hand. Yeah.
So up in the top left-hand side, you'll see mine's a microphone with my hand over it. And the microphone, I'm a singer and I'm like a performer. So the microphone is pretty close to me because my mom is also a singer. So it kind of just like throughout my family, we're all pretty arts related in a way. And then my quote that I wrote is strive for progress, not perfection, because I do have a hard time with that. I try to be the best I can always be when sometimes that's a lot more pressure on myself than it needs to be. I just thought that having all of these together would be a great idea because it symbolized all of us as people, but we're not so different from one another. That's where the hands came in play because we all have our own handprint and our own quote. However, they're all connected to one another because of that, which is the same reason for the bowl and the chicken foot below it, which ties into what we did in the very beginning with the circle and tossing the objects back and forth. The purple chicken was our final object. And that's also what the little, what would you call that? The name at the bottom.
So the PC squared 4L stands for Purple Chicken Champions for Life. So the Purple Chicken Champions was our group name. Reason being is obviously the purple chicken, as said before, and one of our group members, Emmy, she goes to Dale and Boone. She was a state champion in various subjects like photography and dancing. So we wanted to incorporate everyone's ideas and goals and accomplishments, no matter who it was, and they all contributed.
She was actually a national dance champion, in fact, which I thought was extremely cool. So we figured that champions would be a perfect thing to put in our title. And then the chicken foot at the bottom, I think we've connected the dots that the chicken is a pretty crucial player in our in our group. So that's a big part of this.
I'm going to ask the two of you, if you could talk about this activity up in the upper left, and then hand it over to Lexi, who actually brought the conference home to Boyertown with that particular activity.
So we had specifically a team building day. So there was different stations with different activities, and this is just one example of one. We needed to get to point A to point B using varied supplies such as plastic plates and rubber plates. And we had a limited amount of time, limited amount of supplies, and we definitely failed a few times, but we persevered in the end, and we made it to the other side of the tree. So it was a bush and then a tree, and then we had to make it across.
So I'm a bear ambassador for the middle school, and we did this exact same activity for 6th grade team building day. I believe it's called Cross the River, I would like to say, and you get 5 carpet squares, and the goal is to just make it across, but I think there's one less than how many people you have, I want to say. How many people do we have in our group? 2 less than how many people we have, I'm sorry. And the goal was to just get across to the other side. This whole thing was to try and, teamwork and solve the problem that we couldn't get across because we didn't have enough squares. So what we ended up doing in the end was 2 of us were on a different 2's back, and then one of us was in the front, and we'd pass the carpet square from the very back up to the front and keep going across, while there were normally, I think me and Sam shared the back too, where I would pass it up to Sam and she would pass it all the way up the front so that Ethan, I'm bad with names, so that Ethan could place it down and step up and we could all move forward. That one was one we got pretty close to immediately. I think we only did 1 or 2 attempts at that and then we got it. I thought it was a really great way to show us that you have to work together to overcome challenges you're thrown at in life, and I really enjoyed the activity too. They didn't tell us what the whole point of this activity was until we were finished with it. So once we had finished this, then they told us this was just to get you guys to work together and talk to each other and communicate. Communication was a big topic that was discussed at this camp because communication is very important in your day-to-day life.
Go ahead, ladies. Final day activity.
Do you want to start with the left? Sure. Okay.
So the entire week was building up to a high ropes course, and as you can see here, there's a few pictures of, for example, the Giant's Ladder, which is on the upper right-hand corner. So this consisted of beams suspended in the air, just made of wood, and obviously harnesses and helmets. And the goal was to use your partner and yourself and your abilities to get across the ladder all the way to the top. And to the left, there is a rope ladder that is dangling from a high pillar. And it was definitely challenging because all the aspects of it moved, and you kind of had to use your personal body strength, and also you had to trust yourself and trust your person that was holding the rope. And almost everyone made it to the top. I was very proud of everyone, and everyone was proud of each other. And at the end of the day, it was definitely accomplished.
So for the left side, I don't remember the exact name. I think we just called it the cargo net. For the cargo net, a lot of us were afraid to go up to the top because it was pretty wide holes and we were afraid we'd get stuck in it, because there was a story where one kid got his leg wrapped like 1 or 2 times and he was worried he was going to like fall through or get stuck. But you really had to trust the person who was your belay, meaning the person holding the rope at the very bottom to keep you from falling. And you just had to use your upper body strength and try to get to the top. The people at the bottom, which can't be seen in this picture, but they're off to the bottom left, they were encouraging the person climbing the whole time. They were saying, you go. And the person who's in that picture right now climbing, he was really worried to do this cargo net. He didn't think he could do it, and we all supported him, and he made it to the top. We were all really proud of him, and he was very accomplished, and he felt very proud of himself in the very end. And then in the top right, as she had said, it's the Giant's Ladder. That's me on the left side of that picture, and then my partner is on the right side. She was a lot shorter than me, and she weighed a lot less, so it was a lot harder to get to the top because we weren't very similar in height or weight, so she couldn't pull me up. So what we had to do is one of us would get down on our knee like we were proposing, and then she would step onto my knee and like climb over the beam. And then she would help me by pulling me up once she was already on the beam. And then once we made it to the very top, we were really excited and proud of ourselves because she was really scared in the beginning. She was not a fan of heights. So once we made it to the top, she was like, we did it. We gave a high five, and then we went down. And I went down first, and I caught her at the bottom, which I thought was really fun. So yeah, that was our team.
That's awesome. So, needless to say, I've had a really great week working with these kiddos. And I think it's also safe to say that it's not going to be the last time that we see either one of these ladies at our board meetings. But I want to give everybody a chance to ask them any questions they have before we wrap up and head on out. So, any questions anyone has? Comments?
I just want to know if the 2 young ladies knew each other in advance of this.
We didn't.
Nope.
Like, knew
Never heard of each other.
friends?
Yep. We were roomed in the same room as each other. I don't know if we mentioned that. And we each had our own bunk, and our bunks were right next to each other. We were friends, like, right off the bat.
And they were texting each other as we were having meetings and coordinating clothes and socks and all that fun stuff that ladies do at this age and beyond. So,
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
That was very exciting, and I'm so thrilled that you had such a wonderful experience. I'm sorry, Mr. Hemingway, did I? Great job. Great job with your presentation.
Yeah, just first off, I have to say, I can't emphasize how proud I am of my daughters, Samantha, and also you, Lexi. I met you there on the drop-off day, and right away I knew you guys were going to click. I'm a Mason, as far as, and I know Jeff's a Mason also, and I'd like to thank the Masonic Youth Foundation for providing space and guidance. I think they spoiled you pretty good. On a note, I'd like to just say I'm excited to see what our young leaders are going to bring forth to Boyertown. I mean, neither of you seem selfish. I know you're going to share what you've learned. I'm excited to hear about the ideas even though we may look at the pictures and see the skills, but I know that you guys are thinking and taking it in, that it all starts with an idea. I like the whole concept of trust. I like the whole, everything starts with a conversation. And through conversation and leadership, I know that you guys are going to put some great things in the next 4 and 5 years here at Boyertown. We're going to see some great things from you through those concepts and put what you learned into action and share that experience. And again, I'm just very proud of my daughter, proud of you, Lexi, too. And thank you, Boyertown, for providing this opportunity for them.
thanks everyone.
Sitting with us tonight, we have our two student board reps. Why don't you introduce yourselves to everyone, since we're starting off the new school year, and we have a new face sitting up here. So it would be great to just give yourself as an introduction and just go from there.
All right, so I'm Lexi Bacino. I'm the senior board representative. Most of you guys know me. I was here last year, so I'm happy to be back again.
And I'm Liliana Myers. I'm the junior board representative this year, and I'm excited to get to know everyone and get started.
All right, so good evening, board members and meeting attendees. Liliana and I are very excited to be here at our first meeting of the year and Liliana's first meeting of her student board member career. Tonight, we'd like to share some upcoming and past events, people making positive impacts to our schools, and information regarding our first high school luncheon of the year.
Last week, the class of 2026 had their class officer elections. Students heard from several candidates via speeches on TV news, then all members of the class of 2026 had the chance to vote on who they wanted for each position. We are excited to congratulate Gianna Martin, Evan James, Piper Zaharchuk, Braden Tinney, and Sam Letter on their new positions.
So FBLA is excited about an awesome new project they are working on. Not many students know that some of the hallways at the high school have corresponding colors. For example, the banana hallway is yellow, hence the name banana. This has garnered a lot of school spirit not only within the club, but within the school as a whole, seeing as they are getting the art and department involved in basically painting the hallways their corresponding colors. The goal is to make the hallways a more inviting area to walk through for students, and we will update about how it goes in next month's report.
Over the summer, the Boyertown High School TSA Club qualified to attend the TSA National Conference in Louisville, Kentucky. Every single one of the students from Boyertown reached the semifinals in one or more events, and Boyertown ranked in the top 10 in the world in several events. We are extremely proud of TSA and can't wait to see what they accomplish this year.
Okay, so September is an exciting month for student council because homecoming is right around the corner. They're expecting a great turnout with freshmen attending for the first time in a while. We want to thank all the student council members for their hard work in preparing a great Enchanted Forest night for everyone, and we can't wait to see all their hard work pay off on October 7th.
This Friday is our annual district-wide Gold Out for Pediatric Cancer, and we're looking forward to our next Spirit Week leading up to homecoming and are eager to see some Bash spirit.
Okay, so we would now like to discuss the information we collected from our student luncheon. Overall, we got some really good feedback with only minor concerns presented. We asked some pretty general questions this month just to get a feel of how students are liking school so far. Our first question was overall, were they liking their classes so far, with all responding that they were going very well. A minor concern was the traffic flow in the hallways and that some students are consistently arriving late due to traffic jams. A suggestion from the students was possibly more teachers in the hallway just monitoring traffic flow. Another question we asked was whether they wanted to highlight any clubs that the students think are spreading positivity and school spirit. So clubs like TSA, Impact, FBLA, and Key Club are all doing a wonderful job spreading positive change amongst the school.
We also heard some awesome feedback on the summer work for honors and AP courses and how it aided in the transition from one level class to the next. Students also discussed the transition from honors to AP and how much having the same teacher allowed them to better understand the teaching style and coursework. Overall, students felt that they were set up for success for the new year.
Okay, so I have some really awesome news to discuss about the middle school libraries. If you've been to Brakeman's in the past month or follow them on social media, you might have seen the new menu item, the Librarian Latte. $1 from every sale of that item goes towards the East and West libraries. East will be investing in more Rubik's Cubes, a high-interest item to East students, and West will be purchasing bracelet-making materials and puzzles.
Libraries are a pillar and safe space for not only students, but society as a whole. By showing students that they can learn and enhance their minds with not only structured classes, but fun activities such as puzzles or Rubik's Cubes found right in their own libraries, we provide places for students to not only learn, but to garner their creativity too. Stop by Brakeman's to support this wonderful fundraiser.
Thank you for listening. We hope to bring even more great news to everyone next month. Have a great night.
No one signed up for public comment period number 1, so we'll be going for approval of meeting minutes for September 12th, 2023.
Hogan moves.
0 seconds.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Ms. Nyman.
Yes.
Ms. Duroff,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Hogan,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove,
Yes.
Mr. Panarello.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we will have a presentation on the co-curricular recommendation of TSA. Dr. Foley and friends.
And friends. Hey, thanks for letting us have this opportunity to speak with you about this tonight. So the TSA, which is the Technology Student Association, and we'll go into some details about that too, but is a very prominent club that's been in our school for several years. And so we really want to talk about that and try to get approval for that tonight. So you can go to the next slide. So just want to give you a quick overview, talk about the ties to the academics, also talk about the success of the students, the prior success of prior TSA students, as well as the positions that have been posted now in the CVA. So the Technology Student Association, it's basically a national student organization that really focuses on science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and it also has a whole business component in it as well. So there's all kinds of categories and things in there where students will do competitions, and they're judged based upon criteria that's through this. Now, in the presentation that you guys should have, these blue are all hot links too, so you can click on them and dig further if you choose to do that. So you can go to the next slide. So these competitive events are spread into middle school, and then there's also 2 different chapters that are in the high school level. So you have a 9th grade group, and then you also have a 10 through 12 group. And each one of those categories have their own set of basically events that will be in competition with each other, and they're at that same level. So middle school against middle school only, 9th grade against 9th grade, and then 10 through 12 with the 10 through 12 students. The other important part of this too, as you've witnessed here tonight, with our student leaders, you know, the students that did presentations earlier today, there's a lot of opportunity in here for leadership and growth for all of our students inside of all of these categories. So we'll go to the next slide. So the competitions are correlated with the National Science, Technology, Engineer, and Business, all of these standards. There are sample middle school events, include things like biotechnology, video design, gaming design. When we talk about some of the high school stuff, you see CAD. You also see promotional design, flight engineering, webmaster, and software development. And some of the new ones are the virtual reality. And if you haven't had a chance to really see some virtual reality things, that's really pretty cool. Sometimes you can even scan over a barcode and kind of see things people come out and talk to. It's augmented reality and virtual reality. It's really pretty cool if you haven't had a chance to see that. But some of those things, as well as these, are all steeped into the new skills standards that we're talking about, the science, technology, engineering, and also technology education. So the success of our students, many of our students have had an opportunity to take leadership roles within the organization, and we'll talk about a few of those in a few minutes. But they have many tiers within the program, and they go to different levels. So you go to local, and then regional, state, and then national levels. And to the student board report tonight, one of the things that was impressive over this particular summer and several summers prior to this, many of our students have placed at the national level. And when you look at our chapters from Boyertown, we're placed in the top 10 in the entire world. So this is an international competition as well. So our students do extremely, extremely well. And many of them have a lot of opportunities based upon this for higher education and other placements and stuff, which we'll show you a few of those in a few minutes. You can go to the next slide. So also just understand that we've actually had chapters within the school district since 1987. So we've had this competition. It's been at small levels to begin with until it's pretty big now. But anyway, you can see that we have current state and conference locations. So the regionals for us is always at the Strasbourg because it's by regions within the state. I think we're Region 9 if I'm not mistaken. And then the states are at Seven Springs near Altoona, right between Johnstown and Altoona area. And from there, those people that qualify from there then go into the nationals. And I just listed the last couple of years of where the nationals were being. In particular, the last year's was in Louisville, Kentucky, where our students were able to go there and compete on the national and international level. When I talked about in terms of leadership, many of our students within the organization take leadership roles, but not only in this chapters here at our school, but also throughout the entire state. So if you look here, you can see that we have had 6 students, prior students, go holding state level positions within our organizations based upon, their prominence within the TSA organization itself. And you can see some of those names. Some of those names you can probably recognize. I don't know if you remember Abby Regner, Josh Famous. Many of them had been presented into this boardroom prior to me being here. You can go to the next one, please. So I'm not going to read all these to you, but just to get an idea of where some of these students, and when you talk and we link back them to what's happened within the TSA organization itself, you can see there are many students, and you can look Pepperdine, Penn State, Wilkes, Purdue, Philadelphia University. You probably recognize some of these names. You can move on. So we have Temple again. We have Millersville, Rutgers, Technology Engineering from, Vanderbilt, University of Pittsburgh, and the honors. You can go to the next one. You can see some that were here from, when we look even more importantly, what are they doing now? Many of them are doing engineering and those aeronautics and all kinds of really cool things. Pittsburgh, you can see there's a couple RTIs in here. Rochester Institute of Technology, you can see it there. Go to the next one. All the way through Susquehanna and even local ones, which Penn College is a really pretty school. That's the extension of Penn State, if you're not familiar with that. And then you have Kutztown University as well. So basically what we're asking for tonight is to get the approval for these positions that are listed in the collective bargaining agreement. And there are 2 positions at each middle schools and also 2 positions at the high school. So 6 total positions that are listed in the contract. So you can see the middle school chapter. If you look at Middle School West, there's between 20 and 30 students every year that are involved in this. When you look at East, it's between 30 and 40 students that are involved in this. And the advisors that are in there doing these things, they're working with these students at least 300 hours per year outside of their day. And as the more successful the students are, the more time they spend with them too. So because you continue to move on through many various competitions. When you look at the 9th grade chapter, again, we have about 20 to 35 students every year in the 9th grade chapter alone. Again, that advisor spends at least 300 hours or more with those students. And then when you get to the senior high chapter of that, the 10 through 12, we have over 100 students in that every year. And that advisor spends well over 400 hours per year with those students. And especially when you think about when those competitions are, they're like in the winter and then when you go to the international or the national or the national one, it's actually in the summer. It's usually in the month of July. So they take time out of their lives and schedules and they take these kids and go watch them do great things. So I got a couple things here, and what we did was we talked to some of the students that had their experiences from TSA in particular, and they just wanted to give us a couple quotes so you guys could have a chance to read through this. So we'll scroll through these. I'm not going to read them. You can look at a few here. So if we go to the next one, you can kind of see what's going on here. And again, pay attention. These guys are like mechanical engineers, biological engineering. I mean, they're doing some amazing things. This is the former board member's child, recorder. It's flying fighter jets now. It's crazy. So I think you get the idea here. And basically what we're asking for is to get approval for these 6 positions so that we can get those positions filled and let them begin working with our students. Actually, they're working with our students right now anyway because things are already rolling, getting ready for the local competitions now. So anybody have any questions?
I can see it. This is extremely important to you guys. It's a very, very good program. And it shows the importance because you've given us about 3 times more slides for this than we get for the budget. So I know the importance of it. I can see it does a lot of good things. The question I have to ask is, how many co-curricular positions do we have in the district? And this isn't against TSA, this is about, how many do we have?
I don't know that number right off the top of my head, but if you get a little further in the agenda tonight, you'll be able to see.
Yeah, it's about, I think it's about 190 is the number I heard.
Probably.
So, one thing I did ask before this came, and I didn't get it, was I wanted an accounting of all those co-curricular positions to see if we need to keep all of them. I'm not against adding TSA, but I would like to see an equal number, if possible, because I'm not an academic, I don't know this answer. If possible, a reduction of 6 somewhere else. I'm looking to put a cap on the numbers because it seems like it just keeps going up. I think we have 190. I'm guessing these numbers is what I heard. 190 co-curriculars and we have 480 staff. So I don't think I'm trying to get to as many co-curricular positions as we have staff positions. So I'm not saying I'm against it, but I'm saying I need some sort of accounting as to why we just continue going up,
Sure.
up, and up. And how do we substantiate it? Because if you look at the dollars, you're probably at $500,000. Is that?
It's not quite there.
No, it's
Yeah,
close.
It's about 187, I think, right now. But anyway, we'll
190.
about close to 190. But when we're talking about, we have 2,250 students at the high school, and we talk about 600 students within the district. One of the things that we really want to do is get them involved in school. And sometimes the cost of doing business of getting kids involved in school is, we need to pay people a little bit of money for their time, because I promise you, the time that you put into this, you're not going to get a dollar. If we look at a dollar and cents thing, it's per hour is minuscule. But the point being is this: if students are engaged and involved, I think that's what we need to do. And I know there is a document that all of us have been working on to fill out that, to your point, that says this is this how many students are involved, this is how long it's been in, and are they still active? And the answer to your question is yes, they're still active, because if they're not active, we want to move them too, because we want to reallocate those funds and put it to something where it is active.
So we haven't reached that point yet to be able to substantiate those positions.
Well, I think we have. I don't know where that document is. I mean, that was. I think we were filling that out through the HR department, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but there's a Google Doc that we're filling out. I know we spent a lot of time putting a lot of information in. Yeah.
It was included in the weekly newsletter with the explanation of all of the different co-curriculars. It was shared last week.
But I would think for things like this, we'd actually want to have a discussion over that, not just an email. That's just my opinion. I mean, I'm looking for a little bit more till we're showing what we're doing is correct, that we're looking at everything that's educational and how we're advancing the students, but we're saying why we're doing it, and not only how we're doing it, why we're doing it, and this is how it's showing, and this is how we're proving to our people, that don't get to see all this stuff, as this is how we're helping your kids, and this is how we're spending your money. So it's not just about money, it's about proving that we're giving back what we're taking, or more.
So I think that, as was said, I think getting students to engage and helping them find the things that they're really passionate about is a really important part of education. So thank you for this presentation. It was very well done and very informative. And I'm happy to support the TSA positions. I think that they are critical, and that I think the proof is, as they say, in the pudding. I mean, it's right there in front of us. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Next, we have the treasurer's report, please.
Good evening. Tonight I will be presenting a few highlights from the July and August treasurer's reports. I'll begin with July. The delinquent tax collection was approximately $123,816.52. Earned income tax collection was approximately $1,415,353.85. And transfer tax collection was approximately $111,819.41. The expenditures for the category of salaries and benefits accounted for about 54% of our monthly expenditures. And for the August report, under local revenue, delinquent tax collection was approximately $103,794.37. Earned income tax collection was approximately $244,858.07. And transfer tax collection was approximately $129,117.53. Under state revenue, a couple highlights there. Special education subsidy, we received $704,886. For basic education funding, we received $2,726,265. And for pupil transportation subsidy, we received $322,412.73. And for expenditures for August, under the category of salaries and benefits and professional services, it accounted for 47% of our monthly expenditures. And that concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
At this time, I'm looking for the Board of School Directors to approve the treasurer's report for July 2023 and August 2023 as presented.
Helen moves.
Zawada second.
Mr. Brophy,
Yes.
Ms. Nyman,
Yes.
Ms. Deeroff,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Hogan,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove,
Yes.
Mr. Panarello.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under the superintendent's itemized agenda, we have for approval the Board of School Directors to accept the audited financial statements for the year end June 30th, 2022, as presented by the auditors Barbican, Thornton and Company at the September 12th, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting. Discussion?
Real quick, does that company, or do we put that out for bids?
We are currently under a multi-year agreement with them, but when that agreement's up, we will likely go out for a proposal.
Just because it took so long this year.
Yeah, that was partly the staffing on our part. With the amount of turnover that we had in the business office, it was a combination of our staffing that was deficient and the staffing at their firm that was deficient, but that's been corrected.
Zawada moves.
I'll make,
Okay.
go ahead.
Mr. Panarello, do we have a second for acceptance of the audit?
Jeff.
Mr. Brophy,
Yes.
Ms. Nyman,
Yes.
Ms. Deeroff,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Hogan,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove,
Yes.
Mr. Panarello.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, I am looking for the Board of School Directors to authorize audit adjustment entries to the financial statements of the school district after June 30th, 2023. First and a second.
Mr. Brophy,
Yes.
Ms. Nyman,
Yes.
Ms. Deeroff,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Hogan,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove,
Yes.
Mr. Panarello?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, I'm looking for the Board of School Directors to approve the personnel agenda item as presented.
Hogan moves.
There's some of the items in here that do not have a dollar and cent figure into them, which I think that should be in there for the public. Thank you.
The amount for, and that would be for TSA, that has nothing in there because it would go based upon the identification of the individuals, but we do know that it would be a first year, and the amount would be as a result of what was bargained in the collective bargaining agreement.
Those individuals would be placed for appointment to those individual positions on a future agenda.
So are we just approving the position, not the person tonight?
The position's already been approved as part of the collective bargaining agreement.
So what are we approving here?
To add TSA to the, to allow us to fill TSA positions. The direction that I was given was for us to provide presentation for justification for the club and to provide the amount of students that are impacted and to move forward from there before we can even move forward to fill it with people.
I understand that, but couldn't we have a minimum amount in there? So that we know, I mean, we're voting for a blank space right now. And this won't be brought back again. Correct?
The individual people who would be appointed to those positions as a recommendation would be placed on a future personnel agenda.
Okay, but they're already doing it now.
At this point, those positions have not been filled. The presentation was to provide the information to the board and get the approval to advertise for those positions to get them filled.
Okay, because I thought Dr. Foley said they were actively working on it now.
There
Sorry.
are individuals actively, teachers actively working within this program, and they have been for many years. However, they've never received payment for the services provided to TSA. That
Right.
was part of the newly bargained collective bargaining agreement.
I understand that. Okay.
So at this point, we're not adding any new positions?
Correct. It's not a new position. It was bargained for as part of the collective bargaining agreement.
I mean, we're just approving positions we've approved in the past. We're not adding more, we're not adding to the numbers.
We are adding to the numbers. We are asking for you to approve us to add TSA to the collective bargaining unit list of co-curriculars. And the,
Already approved as part of the collective bargaining.
but they said that they are not, that they can be voted on or they can be board approved to fill, as per Mr. Sultanic. He shared that even though they're there and they're approved and they're part of the collective bargaining agreement, it's up to the board to approve to fill them. And so what we're doing this evening is seeking approval to fill those 6 positions. And we do not have people identified because we didn't want to interview and identify people or post in advance of them being approved. Every person that would be placed on there would be at a category level 3 if they are the advisor, and a 4 if they are the assistant advisor. And those salaries are listed in the collective bargaining agreement, which was board approved, first meeting in, or last meeting in August.
So in effect, to make it simpler, you are seeking authorization to advertise and post these positions.
Correct.
They're not going to be filled by virtue of this action. They will be filled at a subsequent board meeting when a name and a background will be attached along with the rate. But this will give the administration authorization to go out and seek these positions, because otherwise you could conceivably present X number of people for board action, and the board may not want to approve it because they didn't vet or authorize the number of individuals.
That would be an accurate interpretation.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Ms. Nyman.
Yes.
Ms. Deeroff.
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Ms. Hogan.
Yes.
Mr. Zawada.
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway.
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove.
Yes.
Mr. Panarello.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public comment period number 2, Alicia Terizzi.
Hi, I'm Alicia Terizzi. I am a teacher at Middle School West, and I am the head hockey coach at the field hockey coach at the high school. Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm here again to voice our support for you guys putting some serious thought into getting a turf field at the high school. I'm also here to let you know that, we're entering playoff season soon. And just because the field hockey team and coaches are not in attendance at every board meeting does not mean that we don't support that idea. Because, we're going to be real busy, hopefully, over the next few weeks leading up to league, district, and on playoffs. So we definitely are still in support of it. We hope that you guys seriously consider the fact that Boyertown is one of the very, very few schools in the entire state that does not have a turf field. Today, our boys soccer team had to cancel their game because the field was unplayable, while the other schools in the pack managed to play their games. Now, the weather's been ridiculous, but if we had a turf field, we wouldn't worry about it. We wouldn't be able to play if there was lightning, but a little bit of rain doesn't affect it. I'm also really concerned because I feel like some of you have your minds made up. You don't care about where Boyertown is, what our facilities are, and what our district provides to the students and student athletes in our community, which is kind of disheartening to me. It's kind of like saying, you don't really need to have a car. You could walk, you could take a horse and buggy, or you can Uber. But, having a car makes things a whole lot easier. And I really hope that you guys give it some serious thought and look around what everyone else has and our students in Boyertown don't. Thank you.
Grady Wise.
Hi, good evening. My name is Grady Wise, and I'm the head boys lacrosse coach here at Bash, and I'm also a 12th grade English teacher for the past 7 years. I've been coaching lacrosse, boys lacrosse, since 2007, and I'm headed into my 8th season here as the head boys lacrosse coach here at Boyertown. Previous to Boyertown, I've also coached at Methacton High School and Phoenixville High School. I'm here to speak on behalf of the boys lacrosse program and the impact of not having a turf field has on our program. I know there's been other programs who have spoken about this in the past, so I just want to make sure that the board is hearing from other programs as well about this impact. During my tenure coaching at Methacton and Phoenixville, I had the opportunity to use turf fields, and I can tell you they made a significantly positive impact on the student athletes along with the coaching staff. I believe that the student athletes here at Boyertown deserve the same advantages as other students in our league. With the turf field conditions are rarely a problem. Yeah, here at Boyertown, typically our fields, specifically in the spring, are not ready to be played upon during the first few weeks because the field's too saturated from either snow melting or we have the early spring rains. So many times our grounds crews can't even line our fields because the ground's too saturated with water. Therefore, boys lacrosse has spent a significant amount of money renting turf time at the 422 Sportsplex and the Far Post in Limerick to be able to hold practices either with inclement weather the day before a practice or during our preseason as well when our fields are unavailable. We have over 40 athletes on the lacrosse team. And it's very, very difficult to hold practice inside a gym to effectively prepare them for competition. Our athletes deserve the same opportunities as other teams that are able to hold practices on a lined turf field. We are at a competitive disadvantage compared to other programs due to the grass fields here at Bash. By the start of our spring season, our practice and game fields have seen significant wear and tear. The fields are lumpy, they have divots in it, and our practice field has many spaces where grass has been worn down and are now basically just dirt patches. In the event that we're practicing and it rains even a little bit, our field conditions become unsafe, and a turf field would help with player safety. Boys lacrosse has had to end up practicing on our game field as well, to practice on a fully lined field. Our practice field adjacent to our field is not a regulation length, and this means that there's more wear and tear on our game field over the course of a season and a higher tendency to have to postpone games if we have inclement weather. Having a turf game field would enable us to consistently practice on a regular lacrosse field without having to worry too much about inclement weather, and I think our student athletes deserve the same level playing field as other districts. Additionally, in the beginning of the season, many of our games end up being away because our fields are unplayable, and this means more time spent on a bus and less time for student athletes to focus on their academics. As our season progresses, typically there's some home games here at Bash that need to be rescheduled at a later time because our fields are unplayable. With an already tight game schedule, this means that we rescheduled home games, that our student athletes have to play 4 to 5 games in a 7 to 8 day time frame. And this is way too many games to be played in a tight amount of time and jeopardizes player safety. Furthermore, the boys lacrosse team has had the opportunity to host home District 1 playoff games. However, 2 of our games have had to be moved to another district's field at Owen J. Roberts and at Pottsgrove in order to play that game. And I think our student athletes deserve to host home playoff games due to their hard work and gameplay throughout the season. I appreciate all you do for our students here at Boyertown. I'm proud to teach here. I'm proud to coach here. We have a dedicated coaching staff for all teams, and we also have dedicated student athletes here at Bash. A turf field would put Boyertown on a level playing field with other districts. And at the end of the day, I believe it would ensure player safety with the inclement weather that we have here. So I thank you for your time, and I appreciate you listening to the impact that not having turf has on boys in lacrosse. Thank you.
Pam Wernersbach.
I'm just going to echo a lot of the sentiments that you've already heard. My name is Pam Wernersbach. I am a health and phys ed teacher at Middle School East, and I'm the head girls lacrosse coach. First off, I want to thank the board for all that you do for our schools and students, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about the impact that turf has on the girls lacrosse program. I come in front of you, for those of you that don't know me, as a Boyertown graduate from the class of 1991. I moved home to the community, gave back to this community because I really appreciate what it did for me, and I want the same opportunity for the students that are still here. I've been a coach for 29 years, and I've been a teacher at Middle School East for 27. The discussion of turf for our facilities has once again come to the attention of the board, and I have heard the request of board members to find out the impact to other programs besides field hockey and soccer, which is why I'm here to speak about the impact of not having a turf on the high school girls lacrosse program. This season will be my 20th year as the head coach. I'm going to review the variety of ways that not having a turf has impacted our program, but please understand that all of these things intertwine and affect the experience of the student athletes. Practices in the spring are dependent on Mother Nature's kindness, which in most years means it's a day-to-day, if not an hour-to-hour call. Many days are spent in the gym, which does not allow us to properly prepare for games as the gym space replicates about a quarter of a lacrosse field. This leaves us woefully prepared for games and sets these athletes behind all of the other teams that we play. It generally takes us about 3 weeks of actual competitions to be playing at the level we need to be successful, which then hurts us at the end of the season due to league and district ratings because we're already ranked based on games at the beginning. Because we have so many teams in the spring being forced into the gym due to field conditions, that also means that these students and their parents have to be willing to pivot daily, which affects studying with their academics as well as jobs for the older student athletes and the parents that have to transport the younger ones. Games are affected in numerous ways. When we have to postpone due to field conditions, we force these still developing teenage girls into having sometimes 4 or 5 games in a 7 to 8 day time frame to be able to get our games in the allotted PIAA and league window. This is extremely physically taxing on still developing bodies, causing them to be more prone to injuries. This type of condensing of the schedule also directly impacts their academic success. They lose time to study and complete academic extras. They also lose time to rest and recuperate the way that their developing bodies so desperately need. We travel for non-league games as there aren't teams that are willing to play on grass and or have the chance of rescheduling due to weather. The fields are also starting to break down near the end of each season due to heavy use, again causing the potential risk for injuries to these hardworking student athletes. Girls lacrosse has also been in the situation numerous times that we have qualified for districts as a home seed and have had to move games to turf to be able to get games in based on the district playoff schedule. This takes away the home field advantage that these girls have worked so hard to earn. We are currently in process as a program of fundraising to be able to go off-site to train when we're unable to use our fields like many of the other programs have already done. So just like the other Boyertown programs, this will be a burden of thousands of dollars to our student athletes and their parents dedicated to just being able to train the same way that the majority of our opponents get to do at their own schools. Ultimately, as a district, we need to put our students in the best position to be able to succeed. That is our responsibility in public education, and by not having turf facilities for our student athletes to use, we have created a barrier for their success. We are not setting these students up for achievement in the way that they're capable of and so desperately are working to attain. Thanks for your time and dedication to our students, and thank you for listening.
Brian Langdon.
Hello. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak to you this evening. For those of you that I don't know yet, my name is Brian Langdon. I'm the director of bands at Boyertown Senior High School. This is my 11th year here, and I am also a resident living in Gilbertsville. My daughter is a first grader at Gilbertsville, so I am all in on Boyertown. And what I want to do is speak a little bit about how the fields and what we have in terms of facilities, how they affect our marching band program as well. It's not just athletics, it's also our music program and what we do as well. Marching band over the past 10 to 15 years has evolved extremely fast. We are asking our marching athletes to play consistently, expelling air through their instruments while carrying 20 to 30 pounds worth of equipment and moving at a pace that is around 180 beats per minute, which is 3 steps per second, which is quite fast, consistently. The cardiovascular demands that they have to do is it's quite great. And then what happens as well is when we don't have a level and even playing field for them to perform on, at that speed, it can become quite dangerous in terms of injuries as well. When we're moving backwards, when we're moving forwards to the sides, we have it does create some quite dangerous situations for our marching athletes. So that is something that puts us at a disadvantage in comparison to the many other programs that are around us and our main competitors that have access to turf fields consistently. Unfortunately, because of the size of the Bash Marching Unit and all the equipment that we take, we don't have the ability to take our practice to other facilities. When we travel to away competitions, it is a 2-hour pack and load, and then to go to a competition. It also requires our trailer, our beautiful black trailer that we have to get a specialized driver for to pull all of our equipment. as well as our white trailer and a box truck with 3 dedicated drivers outside of me, supervising all of our children and volunteers and staff. It's not possible for us to just go to a turf facility every Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday. That's not an option for us. So what happens when we have conditions like this evening, we are forced to do the best that we can, but we lose an opportunity to get better. And my job as an educator is to give my kids the best experience and pull greatness and excellence out of them in every opportunity. We do the best we can considering what we have in front of us. Did we get better today? Absolutely. But we have our cavalcade on Saturday, and we were unable to get out on the field and put the next portion of our show on the field this afternoon because of the field conditions. I'm actually quite concerned with us being able to get down to our field and being able to use that on Thursday, because where we practice is below the softball stadium in the lower portion, and there are large majorities of our field right now that are completely bare, and there are there's huge puddles that I am concerned will not be they'll still be there when we go there on Thursday. I've done as much as I can to find areas for our students to perform, but with 95 students and a lot of equipment, it is quite challenging. And this definitely puts us at a disadvantage when we go to other facilities as well. We don't get to practice on turf. It is a completely different feel for our marching athletes when they go and perform. When we have our large props, as we use in our field show as well, it is completely different when we go to turf than it is on natural grass. Boyertown is the only stadium with natural grass that we perform in. Every other place that we go to for our performances, we went to Springford and they have one. We're going to Conrad Weiser, they have turf. We're going down to Rutgers University, they obviously have turf. And then we are finishing our championship performance at Warwick and they have turf. So the other aspect of this is that Boyertown has a lovely facility in terms of hosting marching bands. We're hosting 19 this weekend. That's a lot of bands. That's a lot of trailers. And the reason why we're able to host that is because of how big our campus is. We actually were approached by Cavalcade of Bands to potentially host a championship performance, but we are unable to host a championship performance at Boyertown because we do not have a turf field. That is one of the requirements of Cavalcade of Bands for their championship events. While that we would not be hosting, Cavalcade would be paying for the facilities. That could be potential income for the district as well. Something to consider within there, the opportunities for that. Obviously, a turf field is a heavily financial consideration. And I understand the very difficult job that each one of you have to not only consider the needs of our students, but the needs of our taxpayers. And as a taxpayer, I understand that as well. But as I am a father and a teacher here, I think I bring a unique perspective. And my daughter just started soccer as part of the Boyertown Soccer Club this year. And I understand the importance of a great playing field, regardless of if they are in athletics or if they're involved in our music program or whether it be any activity out there. It is very important that we give our students, our kids, a great facility to work in, regardless of what it is. Thank you for your time. I hope to see you guys out on Saturday. We'll be there. Hope to see you guys out there. Thank you so much.
Board comment period.
Okay, I have a few things tonight. I got a phone call right before I left. This wasn't on my original list. And they inquired about the pictures that were donated to us that used to hang in the boardroom. They were donated by a family, I think, that came here from another country, if I remember correctly. And they used to hang in here, and that's what they were donated for. I'd like to know what happened to them. All of a sudden, they disappeared. I think there was 2 of them.
They are in storage. They are here.
I know, because before we had pictures, and they got who knows what, and Mr. Krzyzewski was kind enough to have them redone. They were so ruined from being tucked away somewhere. I just didn't want to see that happen to them, and I was wondering if we could put them back in the boardroom. The other thing, I got a few phone calls about the soccer team. Is there a reason why they can no longer eat in the cafeteria before their games? I couldn't believe some of the things I was told, but I don't want to.
I'm not aware that they are not allowed to eat in the cafeteria, and Dr. Foley's sitting here and he has no information with respects to that either.
Okay, well, I was told by more than one that they have to sit in the hallway now on the floor.
Is that
and eat
the
before a
boys or the
game.
girls team?
Pardon me?
Girls or boys team?
Girls. If we could check that, because I don't want to see any of the students have to do that. The vocabulary program that we purchased, could we have a brief summary of how that works or what it does? I think this is a fairly new program, I'm not sure. And at the last meeting, or the second last, I asked about the AI, the curriculum committee, if they would, if they were doing anything about AI, or if they could check into it, because I'm very concerned how that's going to be handled or what's going to be done with that. And then I think there's a new program that I just read about that the state signed a contract for Couth. It's a live, it's a online platform for the children of school age that they can receive mental health without parents' consent or involvement. And I'd like to know, are we joining that, or are we involved with that, or what the deal is with that, because that scares me also.
I'm not familiar with that, and it would be something that would come across my desk. So at this point, I would say that unless somebody has done something outside of my purview, I do not know of our involvement.
Okay, well, the state signed it for all the schools. They've signed a $3 million contract. Okay, and I got a thank you letter from the FBLA, I guess it was, for buying a brick, which was very, very nice. But I would like to say that I hope they pass their knowledge on to the next group for FBLA, because where they're putting it, I would hope that they would keep the weeds and everything cleaned up nicely, because the other plaque that's out there for the children that perished in an accident, I was out pulling those weeds this year because they were higher than I was. You couldn't even see the plaque anymore. So if we want to do these nice things, I think we should also make sure the group following us has the same incentives, or they're going to care the same and take care of it. Because it's kind of a disgrace to see the plaques like that with weeds growing all over them, even though the original idea might have been very good. I think that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
First, I'm going to say thank you to Lexi and Leanna. Did a good job. Look forward to hearing your reports. For the turf fields, I have a suggestion. We're researching it on our end as best as we can. Boyertown's a very giving community, and my suggestion would be that you would form an ad hoc committee or get together and maybe start asking for support from the community, business people, to help us to see where we stand on ultimately what the cost may be to the district. I mean, we're all going to try to work with this together. And so again, I remember way back when they built this Bear Stadium, and I happened to have to donate to that because I was in business at the time. I was glad I did, but what I'm saying is some arms were twisted. So maybe the coaches could get together with the parents or the captains of each team and maybe come up with some fundraisers, or, like I said, try to get some commitments from local business people. I want to thank Dr. Foley for all his service. I know Friday's your last day. We wish you nothing but the best. I do remember you telling me that you're probably going to go into refinishing floors, and I have a second floor that may be needed. I want to thank the teachers for the TSA. Their results prove what the program can do, and that's very important. And last but not least, I'd like to thank Lexi and Sammy for what they did. And for Sammy, I can tell that the acorn didn't fall far from the tree. So, congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, so it's a great night to see Sam and Lexi. That was great, the TSA. These are the kind of things that really make public school special. You know, we have the academics, all the school has the academics, but when you have all these extracurricular programs come together too, and this is why the kids come to school sometimes. You know, it's the sports that brings them, it's the band that brings them, it's whatever program they're involved with that bring them to school and get them involved. And so these programs are very valuable, and we saw tonight how valuable they were with the achievements that prior students have made. And even with these two girls, an 8th and 9th grade student standing up here and speaking so well and so confidently really just shows that it wasn't just that life skills, but their environment has been very good. And I do give Mr. Hemingway some credit there for that. So. Also, I am looking at AI, Ruth, and one of the reasons why we haven't met as a committee is because out of respect for my co-chair. So we will. But I am looking into it, and I'm concerned about it. AI is everywhere. We use it for some things that are valuable, but it has to be watched. Our teachers have to guard it. They have to know what they're putting up there, because it's still programmed by humans, and so we just have to be aware of it. So we will be looking at that. Couth is another thing that I have read up on, and I would never support it coming to this school, because again, you're getting AI there as well. So that would be a really big mistake. But anyway, I thank the coaches for coming in tonight and speaking too, because your information is valuable, and we are listening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, congratulations to Lexi and Sammy and to Brian. Outstanding young woman. Great job there. No, she doesn't. Thank you to Lexi and Liliana. I'm very excited to have you back for another year, and I'm excited to work with you. So, great report tonight, and I look forward to our future engagement. Thank you to Dr. Foley. Thank you so much. I mean, enjoy your retirement. The service you've given here has been, very impactful and very important, and I have very much appreciated your guidance and all the work and effort you put in. It's been very helpful to me as a board member, so thank you. I just wanted to give a shout out to Brakeman's for the librarian latte. I don't drink coffee, but I'm going to go buy one anyway because it's such an amazing thing. Yeah, I love libraries. I always tell people when I'm like sad or stressed, I go to a library because the smell of books gives me comfort. Strange. I also just wanted to, with so many of our coaches and our director of bands here, I know we talk a lot about like student athletes. I feel like one of the things that we don't speak a lot about is what students and student athletes provide to the community. So I lost my dad this weekend, and my son played football for Boyertown, and my dad loved going to watch him. I mean, he would go to football games even after my son graduated, and he would scream so loud that people knew, like, oh, that's Colin's pop-up, because he was like so loud and such a big supporter. And I think there are so many people who get such enjoyment out of what our students provide to the community. And so I just wanted to take a moment to thank them, because I think that sometimes that goes unsaid. It's a lot of dedication and a lot of, sweat equity and just amazing talent that comes out of this school, whether it be through TSA or some of the other clubs. It just always, it can bring a lot of joy and a lot of pride. So thank you. Thank you, students, for that. And thank you, coaches, because I know your job is definitely, hard. I appreciate it. And I know it's a labor of love, so thank you.
Okay, Dr. Foley, thank you for your years here. It's been great that you've been here. I think you've contributed a lot, and wish you best going forward. Unfortunately, I'm getting new hardwood floors in, so I won't need them refinished for a lot of years, but I'll keep you in mind. But but thank you again for all the time, all your efforts and all the things you've done while you've been here. And like I say, going forward, I hope the best for you. For Lexi and Sammy, it's thank them for their presentation. If anybody ever gets a chance to go to one of those adult leadership camps like that, you would be amazed at A, what you learn, what you do that you think you can't do, and what you learn about other people, and how not to just look at somebody and make an assumption of them. Let them go and see what they can do, and you might be surprised with that. But they're great experiences. There are a couple in the area besides that one. So, again, Lexi, Sam did a great job. It's as very evident.
Proud father.
I can tell.
As you all know, I normally don't make too many comments this time because it gets late and I understand that, but I have to on this one. Dr. Foley, thank you. I feel bad. The music department is always on the top of my mind, and until you came, I never really put two and two together as far as, yeah, they're athletes also that utilize that turf, and it's important to them. It's important to me. As far as turf fields go, I mean, we'll use a little bit about what my daughter taught me tonight. It starts with a want, a goal, a need, moves to conversation, turns to a trusting each other, conversation amongst experts, athletes, coaches, and through that you can develop a plan and put that from here into action. That will happen. I don't know the timeline on that. That's a little above what I'm even capable of contributing too much to, except I'd like to be part of that process as we move forward, and I think that's important. With that being said, one reoccurring thing I hear in each speaker, whether it's a coach, band director, athlete, is it seems we have a bit of a demand right now to maybe take some extra attention into our fields that we have currently. Not saying, okay, we're just going to Band-Aid it and say, okay, forget about the idea of turf. But we do have, what I'm hearing, a little bit of a demand to maybe reevaluate. I'm a horticulturist, and this is terrible to say, I don't know what to do. But maybe we need to reevaluate how we're taking care of our fields. Is there any enhancements that we can do with what we have now to at least make them better in the interim while we are working towards our goal of a turf field? Now, how we go about that, I don't know. But just an idea to maybe address some of the major issues and try to make them a little bit better. I know we've had some board members walk through our fields and it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it until we're actually on the field. So I think every one of us should maybe walk around and just see what you guys are experiencing on a day-to-day basis with your students. So I don't know if that's something we can look into, just reevaluating, coming up with a better cultural program to enhance what we already have. I'd like to thank everybody for their presentations, everybody for being here, and it's getting late, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Foley. I know you're going to enjoy retirement because I just retired 7 months ago, so look out. But I'm sure your wife is going to have a honey-do list.
It's pretty long at this point.
So you'll be busy anyway.
Absolutely. Thank you.
But enjoy it because there's nothing like it. Thank the presentations tonight. They were very good. Thank you for coming out about the turf fields. I do understand. I do have my grandchildren into different things, and I do understand. I am looking at it from all aspects because it's all about all of our students, not just this group or that group. It's about each and every student we have here. So we need to be out there for all of them. So thank everybody and have a good one.
Yes, I want to thank you, Dr. Foley, for your service, and I wish you well on your retirement. I know you're going to enjoy it, and I want to thank you girls for your presentation. I do consider the coaches coming in and talking about, and the band, about the situation with the fields. I'm out there too, so I know what you're talking about, and it has to be considered, okay? And that's all. Everybody have a good night.
I want to say how impressed I was with Sam and Lexi for being in 8th and 9th grade and speaking so well and speaking in front of the board and being brave. I thought that was pretty cool. I was impressed with both of them. Thank our student presenters and Lexi and Liliana for their job, as always, perfect. I don't think I need to advocate for turf fields. Everyone knows how I feel about turf fields. We need them. We need them. So I don't need to talk about that. I want to thank you, Dr. Foley, for your guidance when I first got on the board and teach me the ropes and all that you've done here. And I didn't realize how important you were, to be honest, until I started talking to your colleagues and just hearing the admiration they had for you and held you in such high regard. I was extremely impressed. So I hope you enjoy your retirement. That's it.
Okay, upcoming board meetings, we have the next two meetings will be in October. October 10th is the Committee of the Whole at Colebrookdale Elementary School, and October 24th we'll be back here at the Education Center. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.